Morning, everybody. Thanks very much. My name is Paul Sun, and I'm the president and CEO of Eminent Gold Corp, and we are pursuing major gold discoveries in the Great Basin. Throughout the presentation, I will be making some forward-looking statements, so please keep that in mind. So what is Eminent? It's basically three big swings at a major gold discovery in Nevada. And for those that don't know, Nevada is literally ranked as one of the best jurisdictions for gold exploration and development. To give you a sense of the endowment, the United States is a top 3 global producer, of which Nevada is 84% of that contribution. Our flagship Hot Springs Range project is a direct analog to the 50 million ounce Getchell trend, which is now drilling. So I'm excited to say our very first hole has already found significant gold and arsenic. Our other 2 projects, Gilbert South and Seltz, are located in the prolific Walker Lane. So I'm a past mining banker and trained mining engineer, and I can tell you I've seen my fair share of gold exploration stories before, and what we've put together at Eminent is better than I've ever seen. Dan McCoy is the real gem of the story. He's our chief geo. He's found gold twice before. Once in Africa, 5 million ounces in West Africa, and then again in Mexico, and that company got sold to Agnico. Martin Badgick is our CFO. Michael Bebick was actually with Dan during the Keegan days and then went to be a big broker at Haywood and right here in Vancouver, and then luckily came back to us. Aside from myself and Dan on the board, we have Ann Carpenter, who comes to us with over 35 years of experience. She's got a deep Rolodex and is technical, so it's very helpful when we look at projects. And Michael Koswan, like myself, is a professional engineer, and like Michael, was a past broker, and he was most recently at Sprott Resources. More on our technical team. Our entire team is based in Nevada, so we're on the ground. We're always looking for pipeline and opportunity for a big discovery. Under Dan, we have Jim Slayton, who was with Dan during the Keegan and Caden discoveries, and if you were a shareholder during Keegan, it was an 18-bagger. You would have made 18 times your money. At Caden, even during a gold bear market, you made 5 times your money on that win and that sale. So 3rd time's the charm, hopefully, here at Eminent with Dan. Here's a picture of our Hot Springs Range. You can see it's very amenable to exploration. Everything is very easily accessible. We have a joke that you can buy your coffee at the local coffee shop and then still drive to the project, and it's piping hot to drink. This picture here says it all. The figure on the right is the Getchell trend. The intersection of the Battle Mountain and Getchell trend is where 50 million ounces are. On the one side of the dotted line, you see a bunch of stars, black stars, which is where these monster-producing mines are. And on the other side, the red stars, before we showed up, there has never been any exploration before. We have 3 distinct targets at Hot Springs, Otis, Eden, and Sitka, and what we had to do is to prove that it was a direct analog, so we systematically went through it step by step, which I'll take you through shortly. So here, first thing you do is you look for surface expression. Is there gold on surface? That's a big win. And then secondly, you look for pathfinder minerals like arsenic, antimony, and mercury. So if you look at the table on the top right, you can see that our values at HSRP are actually better in most cases than that on the Getchell side. So that was a big box ticked. Next thing we wanted to confirm is that the plumbing is the same as those mines on the other side. And the way the mine works is you get these deep feeder structures that bring gold mineralization from depth, and they get trapped by these horizontal thrust faults. The only difference between our side and their side is that this layer of yellow cover, so you can't see it from surface. People will say, oh, well, there's a lot of Nevada gold, but hasn't it already been found? And the reality is no, just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's there. So what we did, luckily, is we found that some of that cover eroded off, and you could see that we have some gold bleeding out the top of the structure, 2.8 grams per ton of gold, going from high concentration to low concentration. We did geophysics, which is a fancy way of taking an X-ray to see what's below the surface, to see if those structures are there. And as you can see, lo and behold, those structures are there, and we've already superimposed our drill pads and plans on top of that. As mentioned at the outset, our very first hole hit gold. You can see 2.9 meters of 2.2 grams per ton of gold and over 2,000 ppm of arsenic. That also includes 3.9 grams per ton over a 0.91 meter intercept. So very exciting. The first time ever drilled on this side of the Getchell trend. So making history, and we're hoping that we're in the infancy of a major discovery. You can see here we're in good company. Again, on those other sides, you have Newmont and VRIC, and they're slowly moving towards us. We're being watched. We've signed a number of CAs naturally as people are really interested because what we're doing is very unique and novel. Moving on to the second two projects, Gilbert South and Celts, as mentioned in the prolific Walker Lane. To give you a sense, 700 million ounces of gold there, of silver, 80 million ounces of gold. So you can see there's 5 distinct gold districts there, so we're in very good company. Here's a photo of Gilbert South, similar to Hot Springs, very amenable for exploration and development. This photo here is our plan map, and you can see that there has been some historical drilling in the past. However, the drilling that has been done is not in an area that we're interested in. You can see the cluster of green dots in the northwest of the boundary. We're actually not interested in that. And where people did drill, it was very shallow vertical holes just chasing down some surface expression while we are looking for the heart of the system. So here's a photo to help you understand what we're looking for. On the right, imagine an underground tree where you have the trunk, which is a thick gold vein coming up, and it splays off into branches and then eventually leaves at the top. We believe the leaves have been eroded away based on the bladed quartz and the banded veining that we're seeing on the surface. So really we feel like we're standing right on top of the system, and we'll be looking to drill that later this year. But like Hot Springs, we needed to do all the work to get us to drill readiness. So again, if you look at the table on the top right, you can see we have gold at surface. We have up to an ounce per ton of gold on surface. And like Hot Springs, we have 3 distinct targets within the target: Pretty Boy, Bighorn, and Eastbound, all 2.5-kilometer strike targets. And we've already identified our drill targets denoted in the pink pentagons. Last up, of course, we have to do the geophysics, which again is the X-ray, looking to make sure that those structures are there. And you can see that they are there, and we've already superimposed our drill targets there. So again, we'll be looking to drill that later this year. Last but not least, Celts project. This is very exciting. We just picked this up in December. It's the most recent analog discovery model that has come out of Nevada. It's the same technical team that brought this to us, that brought Anglo-Ashanti Silicon. Silicon's a 4.2 million ounce deposit, which is now grown to over 13 million ounces. So the way it works, new model, is it's basically a rhyolite dome or a steam cap that's coming up from depth. It creates a boiling zone and an ideal environment for gold deposition. So here's the silicon analog. So you can see the same type thing in the red, the silica cap. It comes up from depth. It creates boiling underneath. The nice thing about this model is the gold that falls out is not in distinct veins. It's very bulk mineable. So it's very economic, and you can see here that Anglo-Ashanti has already drawn out their pit shell. So same thing that we're going to do at Celts. You can see the model there, the long section. We have the same steam cap coming up from depth, creating that boil zone and the orange squiggly lines. The gold gets trapped there, similar to Hot Springs. It can't pass through the surface because of the cover, but you do see it bleeding out around the edges. And you see 33 grams per ton. We're getting some very high grade values around the periphery of these things. So we're going to do a little bit more field work. We'll probably do geophysics, and then we'll be ready to drill this later this year. So just getting into our capitalization, as a past banker, I look at this all the time. It's very important. You can see here we only have just under 60 million shares outstanding, so it's very tightly held. You can see that 53% of the company is owned by management, insiders, and technical personnel. So we're very aligned with shareholders to make that discovery with you. So final slide here, why invest in Eminent Gold? Well, as a reminder, you had a management team that has found gold twice. They've created shareholder value twice. You're in a jurisdiction that is the best for gold exploration and development. And as a shareholder, you should know that the biggest bang for your buck is at that point of discovery. And having 3 big swings in Nevada, you're at that inflection point of discovery. So with that, thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. We're in booth 118. If you have any other questions, we'd be happy to answer them.